This is the moment.
The moment we all play for.
Not everyone's journey is the same.
Maybe they came just short last year.
The match is going to go to rival.
We are the fan favorites.
Sarah, Jeff, and the boys back at Dreamhack.
This year, it just clicked for us.
Splyce finally get it done. 62 minutes.
Last year we were sitting at home.
Close spot match, man.
Now we here, baby.
But Dignitas ends up on top.
Obey Alliance, the first team that's gonna punch their ticket to Dreamhack.
We're not looking to be the bridesmaids again.
Time to remind everyone why we are the best.
I mean, they really made that look easy.
There's a reason I made it to Worlds.
Unbelievable.
There's only one reason we're here. To defend our title.
It doesn't matter how we got it. All that matters
Is that we're ready.
To be remembered. To be immortalized. For this moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is HRX Smite World Championship Grand Finals. Your teams are ready. Coming up first, it's Splyce. In the solo lane, it's Divios, the Sultan of Solo. Cyno from console to PC. One thing remains. You cannot give this player Naja in the jungle. In the mid lane, Moswal. They tell me that he plays more than Outposh. I'm waiting to see it. The support, the OG chunk of funk. Ladies and gentlemen, Aror! And rounding them out in the hunter role, no matter the lane, always the carry, it's CycloneSpin. Give it up for Splyce. Their opponents, hailing from Europe, you may know them as Rival. Their solo, an impactful player, always makes his mark known. It's Deathwalker. Out of the jungle, too cold, it's iceicebaby. Their mid laner, some would say that he is one of the most dominant players in Europe. Out of the mid lane, it's Wlfy. Supporting the team, sometimes with his whole back carrying them. Out of the support role, it's Kalis. And finally, he may have dropped the NBK, but he's always been the hunter of our hearts and minds. Ladies and gentlemen, from Europe, it's Vote. You've got it, the stage is set, the teams are ready. The Smite World Championship starts right now. Kelly Link, take it away.
Thank you so much, Bart. Welcome everyone to the Mixer pregame show here for the grand finals of the 2018 Smite World Championships. Joining me here is Taco and Anatoly. And honestly, out of the 5 years that I've been at the Smite World Championship Series, this is the most anticipated finals I've ever seen.
Europe versus North America yet again. Both teams coming into this match undefeated. What a set we're gonna have here today, Taco.
And it's even crazier to think that both of these teams got here from 3-0 victories alone. So it's unpredictable what's going to take place today.
It's been an unpredictable weekend, and we have a highlight video showing you everything that's happened for these two teams.
Victory twig could be there, but not quite enough. Splyce keep NA alive. They eliminate Obey Alliance.
Atlanta Finals only Cubo, Fred, and Trickshake are still alive, but dash in, taunt, Moswal, take Trickshake down, now onto the Titan, no way for Cubo, Fred to defend, and Splyce are gonna take the set, 3-0.
Energy ready to go face to face against rival. A little bit of background here. Energy definitely down. Their star player Yaman, but rival in the driver's seat. They're gonna take the set.
Less than 21 minutes before they get up there. Team Rival emphatically stomped out Energy's Season 5 hopes.
This is how you win a set. This is definitely it. The Titan down to 80%. Team Rival trying to fight on into it. Trifecta playing defense. Scary knees in the yellow. He's retreating down into the fountain. Team Rival going to it. We'll see you in the finals. We get an EU-NA finals once again.
All of these games this last weekend has been phenomenal from these two teams. Both teams in the semifinals going 3-0. And let's actually take a quick look at that bracket just to remind everyone the journey that they had to go through here.
I would say that Rival had the easier journey. During the quarterfinals, they managed 2-0 Energy without Yaman, being able to defeat Trifecta, a team that probably shouldn't have been here in the first place. But then Splyce surprising everyone with their victories over Obey and Dignitas.
I think that was the big one that really caught everybody off guard, though. Dignitas falling in 3-0 fashion to Splyce was just so unexpected. We knew Splyce was good all along, and there was no doubt about that the second that they 2-0'd Obey. But the 3-0 Dignitas?
These European teams are no slouches, you know, Rival and E-United going against each other in Season 4. No longer E-United, the North American team to represent. This time it's going to be Splyce.
And Rival was the team that challenged E-United last year, taking second place, and I'm sure they're not going to let that happen again. But that's not the case if Splyce has anything to say about it.
That's so true. I still can't believe that Rival, from their Season 3 performance as Cyclone GG, just did a complete hot 180 into Team Rival, taking out Energy's land streaks to start off Season 4, making it to second place in Valencia, making it to second place in Season 4 Worlds, and now here they are yet again in the finals.
You know, I kind of actually see some similarities here with Splyce kind of being the North American rival this year.
I can definitely get that vibe for sure, because they were a team, if you look at Season 5 alone, in the springtime, no one was ever guessing that Splyce would ever be one of the most contesting teams in North America, much less here in the finals up against Rival. But the fact that they have come this far just goes to show that they just understand how to appropriately make the adjustments necessary to come out on top.
And I think a lot of it comes down to the time during the summer when every member from Splyce went to Kabam's beach house in New Jersey for a couple of weeks. And since that summertime, they just turned it around completely.
Well, we got some insight from Kabam, the coach right now on the stage.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Kabam, feels like you've got a couple fans in the crowd for you here today. How are you guys feeling?
Yeah, it seems like Aror brought every single person he knows to cheer for us. It's a pretty big buff, I'd say, yeah.
This is setting up to be one of the best finals ever. You guys have had an incredible story starting in spring. Can you even believe you're on the stage right now?
If you told me at the beginning of the year that we were going to be here, I would have laughed at your face, for sure, yeah.
What was the biggest turnaround? What led you to this stage now?
Living together, for sure, honestly. Getting everyone to hang out after scrims, you know. Nobody was going off to do their own stuff. We were talking about Smite, we were hanging out together, actually being friends. Like, it was a big deal, for sure.
Rival was on the stage last year, fell just short. What do you see from them so far this tournament that you think you can beat?
We're pretty confident that it's just going to be our meta versus theirs. If we're allowed to control the pace of the game, then we're just going to do really well, I think. I mean,
we'll have to wait and see. Kabam, good luck, my friend. Best of luck in the set. Let's throw it back to the analyst desk.
What Kabam said there, it's our meta versus theirs, and Splyce kind of created the meta for this season, but Rival, Alpha Jackal there, can follow any kind of comp and turn it around in his favor.
I think both of their playbooks are very thick. Their level 1 strategies are very diverse about what they want to do. Divios is rotating in the duo lane, and then Deathwalker playing hyper-aggressive in the solo.
And I think that's where the difference really comes into play, is that both of these teams have such varying playstyles, yet both kind of similar, because they both base everything around that team fighting aspect. That's what they're truly looking at towards the core of it all. But Splyce does have a tendency to focus things a little bit more heavily in that duo lane, obviously, but you have to appreciate the way that Rival have always managed to take those traditional picks, like the Poseidon and the Athenas, and then they just make it work because of their execution being so flawless all the time.
You know, a lot of these games kind of came down to the picks and bans with who was going to win, especially in that game versus Dignitas. But the picks and bans are so good, it is going to come down to the players' ability to execute and work together.
I wouldn't be surprised if whatever we saw from these two teams in days 1 and 2 get thrown out the window completely after doing research against each other, looking at like CycloneSpin's God Pool. He likes the Xbalanque as well. It's such a disruptive force that Rival certainly have some answers.
I could very easily see this also being one of the true sets where we finally get a chance to see players have to make adjustments within the draft itself as it's happening. Not looking towards anything that's worked past life in scrims any longer, but just making those on-the-fly decisions.
We're going to see those decisions before the game gets started with the Alpha Jackal coach interview on the stage.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Alpha Jackal, the coach of Rival. Now, you guys are playing in NA. Usually these crowds are pretty biased towards NA, but I've seen a lot of Rival fans out there. I think you guys are going to have some support. Do you think that's going to be important for you guys?
I'm going to let that speak for itself.
This is going to be a fun final. I can tell right now. Splyce is coming into this incredibly hot. What have you seen from them that might give you guys some trouble?
We've seen from them that despite all close games, they were still able to play their own style, do what they wanted to do, and just play their own style. So we're hoping to take them away from that.
This is a team that has been waiting all year for this chance again. You guys were on the same stage last year, ended up coming just short against the United. What did you learn from that, and how can you change that outcome?
We learned nothing. I mean, if it's a 3-1, we could blame Hinderman for a shoddy script, can't we?
That's right. Well, if it's in the script, then it's going to be good for you guys. Good luck in your match. Looking forward to it. Getting pretty close to game 1, getting off to a start. Throw it back to Kelly on the desk.
Thank you so much, Aggro and Alpha Jackal there. I mean, it looks like both these teams are just ready to get into the game.
I think the fans are getting ready to get into the game too. Rival versus Splyce. I'm excited for this one because I can't even predict what the first pick is going to be between these two teams. There's going to be some contested picks, I think, with the Fenrir, but outside of that, I don't even know.
I'm looking towards the gods like Terra, Odin, Athena. Those are probably going to be some of the more priority-based picks because they're the ones that you can really start to build compositions around, be a little bit more flexible, and have the capability to just switch things up between solo, jungle, and support. That seems to bode best for a lot of these teams.
And then about the uncontested picks, Deathwalker really likes his Sun Wukong. We haven't seen it yet from Divios this tournament, but I know that he favors the Shen. We saw a little bit in the console side. I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a hyper-aggressive Hunter that Divios is going to need to respond with the Shen.
It's going to be really interesting. And I mean, there's so many other gods here that we saw like do really well in their previous games during the semifinals here. Divios on Geb, Rival on Deathwalker, Erlang on Deathwalker on Erlang there, going in 1v2, 1v3, and still winning the fights.
I mean, basically, Rival is relying on Deathwalker to make those plays because the way he performed against Energy was very unpredictable. The last time we saw such aggressive play was like Season 2 CycloneSpin days, being that recklessly aggressive.
I think that's just Deathwalker recognizing that he has to make some form of an impact from the solo lane because solo for so long in Season 5 has just not had that sort of influence over the matches any longer, but Deathwalker knows if he can look towards those early game rotations, he can make it happen.
That's right. Season 4, it was basically a lot of Fire Giant elementals, which gave those solo laners the momentum off of the early game lead, but now it's about trying to shut down the jungler speed.
Honestly, the drafting here is going to be as exciting as the game for me because these two coaches do such a good job looking at the playbooks, and we are ready for picks and bans of game number 1, the grand finals. It's Splyce versus Rival.
Looking at the picks and bans, it's going fast, guys. Already 3 without much hesitation.
In these player cams already, cool as a cucumber.
So the only thing I see out of place right now from what we've seen usually during the games is Rivals banning out those mid gods.
Really taking a shot at Moswal. They prioritize Moswal's outwash very early, and when that's taken off, they go for the Zeus, but they left a lot on the table here. Erlang, Shen was first picked, leaving the Pele open and the Mercury.
Moswal's got a little bit more to it, though, than just that Zeus outwash alone, and if Rival have been doing their homework, they're certain to know it as well. well, but the Raijin choice, I think, is a really smart option for Wlfy, being able to have all that early game pressure from the mid lane to hope alleviate some of that duo aspects, because Xbalanque, not exactly the greatest.
Well, this Xbalanque pick is taking a shot at CycloneSpin. Splyce relies on the blink engage from Cyno with the Darkest of Nights ulti combination. Rival definitely doing their homework, taking a shot at mid, taking a shot at the Hunter role.
But look what Splyce has already. Erlang, Artio, and they still have 3 gods to go. That's so much early pressure to begin with.
That's true. Whenever you...
It's Moswal. This is Moswal all the way. I have seen, this is one of the first picks that Moswal ever established a name for himself on, going all the way back to Season 3, I would argue, and it's just his staple pick. He always loves taking this for himself, and I mean, he's got a saying, dude.
Wow, Ares locked in very early. This could be that man on your screen playing that god. It could be the Ares Walker, but Callus really likes it as well, and wherever the Artio goes, I think the Ares will follow.
We haven't got to see Ares during the World Championship Series just yet. Tell me what he offers to the team.
It's because of the way that he can cripple out so many different members from Splyce right now. He's going to cut off options for Erlang, cut off the option for Artio, and that will make Moswal a little bit more of a priority focus here for Rival, because they're going to be able to look for those pick separations.
So we got a get ban going on here, and we saw Divios play him in the solo lane. So they're thinking that Erlang is going to be going in the jungle Artio support?
Probably, but also the get ban is important because of the cleanse factor. Looking at Erlang, Shen, Artio, and Vulcan, they don't have any CC immunity naturally into their kit. They're going to need to rely on those purification beads. So not only is Ares going to disrupt the engage from the Artio and the Erlang, Shen in the form of cripple, but try to find even more members pulled back in.
Merc is banned, but that 8th ban spot, kind of surprising there, seeing as how he's always been top banned.
There's just so many gods that you want to pick up early, Mercury included, between the Artio and Erlang, but because Rival are going for more counter picks about disrupting the flow from Splyce, this doesn't really surprise me. These are the 2 most creative teams thus far in Season 5 between the 2 different regions, and now they're clashing together.
Not only that, but you can afford to leave alone priority picks like Mercury, because while they've been strong all season long, Rival isn't necessarily a team that's going to opt for that first right out the door. They understand that they have to go for their dual and mid lane options right away, because that's what Splyce has been doing in every single one of their drafts so far, because they know that if they take the Erlang, Artio, and Vulcan, and I'm not even paying mind to this because there's no way.
It's got to be a troll.
I'm having nightmares. I was casting the collegiate game yesterday, University of Illinois versus Carleton University with J. Mac Tucker. There was a player there named Meerkat, which we all know and love in the ranked team, that played the Loki. And by God, I swear, Splyce locked this in.
I want to see it, man. We already get the Ares. There's a Vulcan in there. Let's make this a fun game 1.
If it's a Loki, Xbalanque might actually be pretty decent against it, though. Poison Dart's going to be sure to mark out his invis every single time, although the slow won't be applied because of the immunity from Loki's invis.
But then you got flames as well. There's like a lot of dots coming through that I think Loki wouldn't be the most enticing. And whatever soul lane you pick, there's still the mystical mail item you can pick up against it.
But Xbalanque is a passive dual lane partner, and alongside the Ares, sure, you can afford to be a little bit more aggressive, but that's not going to stop Loki from sitting on his T1 tower line, and alongside of an Artio, they should be able to reasonably clear every single wave before it hits and they lose gold.
Okay, well, yeah, not much of a surprise there. Loki actually getting switched out for Jing Wei, a lot safer of a pick.
We have to throw the options out there.
Thank goodness, Loki. We will not see you today, but we will see the Kuzenbo instead.
Taco, how you feeling about that?
I hate seeing Kuzenbo. I hated seeing it in the last match. I felt a little bit bad there for Keegs, but if this isn't Anubis to answer back, that would be rather interesting, because Kuzenbo's reflection damage is something that usually gives Anubis a little bit of problem.
The Raijin is already locked in. I don't expect a double mage comp from Rival. This would mean that it would be Anubis in the solo lane, which does a lot of damage early game, but it's just so enticing, I think, for Cyno to camp that lane afterwards. No real mobility from this Anubis.
But if Cyno does decide to pay a little bit more attention towards wherever this Anubis is headed, that also gives up the pressure that Splyce has always been known for from that dual lane. They love to play camp the ADC because it gets them far out ahead, having full control over the enemy team's red and purple buffs.
But then don't they have to worry about Deathwalker focusing that solo lane if Splyce is going to be focusing the duo lane?
No, because you just build up so much more of a lead over in duo in comparison to solo.
Amaterasu makes a little bit more sense when you already have a Raijin. Has a lot of mobility once you get those levels. That aura. we still don't know where this Ares Amaterasu is going, because Amaterasu was very popular during the summer trying to get that early game pressure.
But look at that cheeky smile on Callus's face. I think he wants us to be up here sweating, trying to figure out which way it's headed. And when it comes to Rival, I've learned my lesson more than enough times to try and guess where these picks could be headed.
Neither of these teams have showed their hands in the semifinals. They both won 3-0 very confidently. It's you can't make a prediction in this game, but I'm still going to ask you guys for it. Taco, who do you give this game to?
Splyce.
Anatoly?
Rival.
Ooh, we are split. The audience, I gotta ask you guys though, is this going to Splyce? Now I gotta ask the opposite. Who thinks it's going to Rival?
It's close.
That is a close game right there. We have our casters on deck, ready for game number 1. Let's get into game number 1, everyone. F.Aggro and Hinduman, take it away.
Thank you so much, Kelly, on the analyst desk with Taco and Toli. It's me, Tom, and Aggro, going to be bringing you the finals here today. And you guys at home and watching here, well, they're split down the middle, but what are you guys thinking?
I mean, I heard the crowd. Rival seems to be everybody's favorite here, to be honest with you. But I know that Splyce has really come in with a lot of momentum. I know Rival's been consistent. Splyce is just hot.
I agree. I think the heat
This
check
is
that
hot.
Splyce.
This is hot. Deathwalker walks into the jungle. Ooh. Straight away has to take his dash, though.
I love how this is what Deathwalker tried to do by himself earlier in the tournament. And Splyce went, no, not happening. We're going to just control the situation, and Rival have to reassess.
Now, this Ares pick, we were talking right before this about where this is going to be, if this is going to be in the solo lane or in support. I think that it's right with this matchup to put it in the support role, because Kalas has the opportunity to make so many plays around this Artio, Erlang, Shen, and Vulcan in the early game, because you can get those beads out early, especially knowing that Cyno doesn't have beads. He's getting ulted every time.
Deathwalker here on the Amaterasu, and again, when you look at the Ares in the solo lane, dots don't really cooperate with Kuzenbo, so I like this matchup a little bit better. The Amaterasu is going to be a nice look.
Big blink kill, but Moswal didn't realize right behind Vote and Wlfy were waiting. It's Cyno surrounded, and the Xbalanque gets first blood.
What is Vote doing on that side of the map? We usually see the solo
Getting a kill.
We see the solos go to the left side because they can TP. Vote's breaking all the rules.
This is where the coaches really come into play in my mind. You already know that Rivals watched everything Splyce did so far this weekend, everything they did during the fall split, and they had to work around how to counteract Divios being in this duo lane, because this is what happened against Dignitas every single game. So instead of trying to contest it and save their own purple and save their own red, they go, screw that, we'll just kill the right side because they're going to be alone.
And with that, you can see, as you said, Splyce going to be able to look at the purple and red on left. Meanwhile, Rival going to see the way the red and potentially the purple a little bit later on, as now Deathwalker will hit level 2 and get his own buff.
Deathwalker always cheeky as hell, whether it's on land or on stream, he's doing it. I like that approach. But Vote, so he starts over there on the right side of the jungle, and then he clears the mid wave, so he doesn't have to cross the map without getting any farm. I think that those little things are very important, and that's what makes this strategy work.
Nice little poke out of a roll there just to push back Callis again, who's already level 2. Done pretty well for himself in a 2v1.
The poke is good, but at the same time, there's really not that much kill potential with Jing in this lane. When you've seen the Artio for a lot of other teams, you'll see it paired with the Cupid or even the Xbalanque that has a lot more kill potential in that lane. I don't know that this Jing pick is exactly what Splyce has gone for. I would have much rather seen Cyclone go for something a little bit more aggressive in this lane and go with what Splyce has done, which is really kill duo lane very early on.
Well, let's take a look back at that respawn first blood and just break it down for me, Tom. Exactly what we saw here. I mean, it was Moswal getting aggressive.
I mean, it's a 2-on-8 million Hindu. Basically, Vote and Wlfy collapse on top of Mozzie, and this was the aggression gone the wrong way. Vote gets the kill, which is very good, and that's going to put his team in a position to push forward.
And Cyno playing aggressive there actually ends up saving Moswal's life, because instead of going to get both of those kills, even though Cyno's dead to rights, they knew they had to kill him quickly, because otherwise it would have been iceicebaby who fell for that first blood.
So that's the first blood of game 1, but I don't think we're going to see the same strategies going into game 2 and 3 then, right? Or there's going to be more changes?
Potentially more changes. I'm sure Splyce will not want to get first blooded right away. I'm sure that's not part of the game plan.
That's one of those strategies that's very easily counteracted once you have the information. So if you can expect 4-player collapse on the right side, you can kind of farm other jungle camps or look for advantages in other places. So I don't like the word cheese, but that's exactly what we see. A one-time use strategy here. It's executed, it's employed, and then you got to throw it away and try a different approach next time.
Unless somebody actually manages to figure it out and make it work for themselves, right?
Right.
Or they don't fix it, or they don't realize how to deal with it, so they just keep doing it.
Exactly. I think that's probably a bigger gamble. Sending your hunter all the way to that side can be rough.
Divios is getting pretty aggressive here, and iceicebaby's on the way. Divios has his dash down, but he's still a fairly tanky Kuzenbo.
Oh, he's getting a lot more poke than he bargained for. He's going to be careful. Going to do the rope it up, though. Pull Ice under the tower. Overhead kick will give him the room he needs. Still hits the tower shot, however.
That probably should have been a kill for Splyce. Cyno doesn't time that 72 transformations properly. If he's able to get that knockup before Ice gets the overhead kick, then Splyce could have gotten that return kill they could really use. Specifically Cyno, because remember, he's the one who actually ended up dying for that first blood.
Stay of the game so far, then it's only about 1,000 gold lead, give or take, just under, in favor of Rival with the farming going on. Experience not so much to speak about just yet either. First blood, though, going over to the Xbalanque is a big impact. It's not the old Xbalanque we used to see. Still makes an impact, though.
Absolutely. I mean, player damage is going to boost his player damage, right? The more he's able to do, the more he's able to stack up on top thanks to that passive. And so because he's able to get aggressive nice and early, that's just going to help him have a little bit of an advantage versus his opposing carry.
Plus, the Transcendence Rush is going to be much more impactful from this position. Maybe Vote can back and either finish that a little bit earlier than he normally would, or you can elect for what we've seen a lot of hunters go for, which is those early boots instead of your stacking item. And if I'm Vote in this situation, I'm definitely going boots right away, because Splyce has made a point to consistently be on enemy red buffs, on enemy back harpies as much as possible in the early game. And even with Splyce taking that early first blood, I think that could be the case.
Here comes Iceicebaby to the left-hand side with a blink, though, and Aror's a bit far forward, looking to poke out. He could fall down and Vote gets a second kill. It might not be done just yet. Cyclone's trying to get away in the mid lane.
There's the ultimate coming out, but it's going to be ages. Ultimate from Xbalanque will create some havoc, but Wlfy's not able to find the damage just yet.
Oh, no.
Blinks forward, but now he's out of cooldowns. Off screen, Ice gets CycloneSpin, and the tag team help for Team Rival.
But Moswal might still be in trouble here. If that would have hit with the stun from Deathwalker, Moswal could have got wrapped around on by Iceicebaby. 3 quick kills overall for Rival.
Wlfy going in aggressively there, even in the 2v1. Off screen, iceicebaby was able to find that second kill on the CycloneSpin, probably with use of that Mystic Rush, which is now on cooldown. And as I was saying, Splyce likes to play aggressive on the left side of the map. They like to invade reds. They need to be up high in the lane in order to make that happen in good recognition.
Oh, Cyno just slips the net there, ever so lucky. Going back to the start, though, is this the reason Splyce will probably be behind now? This start didn't work out, and now Ice and the rest of Rival are trying to put the pressure on?
Yeah, I mean, Rival's a team that does pretty well at changing their play style up depending on the state of the game. Splyce is usually going to take it to the late game, basically no matter what. That's what they've done all weekend so far, is really take games pretty late. So I wouldn't be surprised if they are kind of playing for those later stages, whereas Rival might try and get them down before they even get to that late game point.
I mean, that's tough to do, Ryan. They've got a Xbalanque, they've got a Raijin. Raijin has some of that early pressure, so maybe I'll check myself there, but Divios going to need to check himself. Finds a refuge under his tower.
This is the right time to actually pressure a Kuzenbo, though, right? Because he's so low level, he's not got the protections that you used to.
Yeah, exactly. You have the opportunity to actually get a kill in that lane with help from Mystic Rush, but you're also going to need Dazzling Offensive, and Watery Grave and CC immunity makes it pretty difficult to dive him. I think that's just more about Iceicebaby needed some farm, and there happened to be a wave on that right-hand side. But I love this Amaterasu pick for Deathwalker because he's getting a free lane up against the Kuzenbo. And so often we see, oh, they're going to get a free lane, so let's pick Geb or Terra, these late-game Guardian team fighters. Well, Ama's a late-game team fighter, but still gets more pressure than most of those picks, especially with this Berserker Shield rush that Deathwalker's gone for. Deathwalker's been able to invade, rotate, be there earlier than his lane opposition, and is still going to have that same level of late-game impact as a Kuzenbo.
I love her in the mid game as well, and I think that's going to help Rival bridge the gap to that sort of Splyce zone that's going to be later. Amaterasu definitely succeeds or shows off the most in those later stages, but her mid game with the auras is really impressive and can kind of lift everybody else up.
Also, just against Splyce's draft, it works out really well. That silence is devastating against Aror, who's got a long, slow dash. Cyno, you can interrupt that 72 transformations pretty easily. Even Divios, if he's sumo slamming someone up against that wall, you can silence him out with that dash pretty easily.
At the moment, then, both teams working towards the boost more than anything else, but hang on a second, Deathwalker took a bit more poke than bargain for there.
Yeah, Divios popped the ultimate on him, really just trying to zone the solo laner away from the blue buff that was being taken. So that allows him to pick that up nice and easy, and really no sweat. When you're talking about playing a Guardian in that short lane, you absolutely need access to your blue buff, which is why we see him throw out the ultimate there.
No real surprise to see this game going the way it is so far at the moment between the two. These are two teams that you'd expect to be in this situation. A little bit cagey at the start.
And so because Divios uses that ultimate on the blue buff, Amaterasu could push up further in the lane. No threat of being caught under that tower by Watery Grave, so Ice is going to come here, but all of Splyce is in the wings.
Yeah, a lot of rotation coming through just to protect this left-hand side, though. This is creating a bit of pressure for Rival to look at invading the purple buff.
Perfect use of that 72 transformation to put some pressure on a Deathwalker, forces out his ultimate without a whole lot of recourse. But on the left-hand side, because Splyce is being so aggressive on the right, Kalas is able to get in between Tier 1 and Tier 2 tower and really continue to put CycloneSpin behind the 8-ball. And with Vote understanding that it seems like his lane isn't getting as much pressure, he's able to go straight for that Transcendence, and now he's almost done stacking already.
Look at the relics as well. The two supports are all going for the horrific emblem. We've seen time and time again. Kalas with the sprint. I'm looking at Splyce's comp, and I think horrific would be really good against Splyce here.
It would be. It would be very, very strong, but at the same time, Ares is so vulnerable in that laning phase that horrific emblem, if he gets hit by that and doesn't have a way to get away, then he's going to be an easy kill. So Kalas playing it safe.
Kalas has a number of options to really keep you under control. Divios wishes he had those options, but he's dealing damage. Still, Deathwalker getting aggressive, and it's iceicebaby taking him down. But Cyno answers back with not one, but two. Double duty for the Dogman. Cyno with the kill.
The classic counter gank right there by Cyno comes in, and Divios, all he does is buy enough time. That's his only job.
What time in
that
gank,
position.
That timing of the gank is insane.
It was perfect, and that's Divios having played in that lane forever, understanding when he's likely to get ganked and probably communicating that over to Cyno. It's also because that blue buff was about to come up, and there has been a consistent effort from Rival to put pressure on that buff.
It's also because he's got the Talaria boots that you're such a big fan of, Tom.
I really do love him. I mean, the wing boots just allow him to rotate around the map. I say it a lot. If you're not in a fight, you're not doing extra damage. So you're losing 20 physical power for all this extra movement speed. I would much rather get to every fight and do a little bit less damage than get to half of the fights and do a little bit more.
And plus, with the change to Erlang passive, and now that dog that goes alongside him is doing percentage health, I mean, he's not worried about how much damage he's doing. His dog is doing a large portion of it.
You know the dog's name?
What is it, Tom?
It's Bobo. That's actually Hindu.
I just know the dog's name, so I just called it Bobo.
You named him Bobo, so it's Bobo.
I mean, supposedly it's Celestial Legions. Like, I don't know. They always make the names of these things so long for no reason whatsoever. Just shorten it down. Right?
It's pretty easy to remember because Bobo makes boo-boos. Hurts you a lot.
How are you still got a microphone?
Can we turn this into a two-man cast into?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Sounds about right.
4-2 though, 11 minutes in, and at the moment, Cyno now looking to go a bit aggressive. But it already looks like Deathwalker, Wlfy, and iceicebaby well aware. A lot of invades have been happening throughout the season on the back harpies, or, well, the less back harpies than the speed buff, but they're still back harpies.
They're really simple to snatch. You can walk by them, especially with some of the characters like Mercury. You just smack it with one ability. Naja tosses a ring. A lot of these characters can just, oh, are they there? Sweet, they're mine. So that's why we see the invades, because they're really easy to get in and get out.
Plus, there's not going to be as much of a defense around those as there would be on a buff.
Here we go again in the solo lane by the looks of it. Sprint was actually used by Cyno. He was actually wrapping around, I think, for a gank and realized he was going to get counter ganked straight after.
Vote uses the ultimate aggressively, and Rival still can't take advantage of it. Kalas on this right side providing help for Deathwalker. Splyce just had a little bit better of a pathing and gave Rival an issue.
But losing that blink on the Cyno is a pretty big deal. That's a large part of Splyce's initiation. They don't have a long-range sort of dash Athenaton. They don't have something they can really initiate very easily. Cyno's going to have to carry that weight for a large portion of this mid-game, and so his blink being down for 90 seconds is certainly a win.
This pressure on the right-hand side, though, coming up from Rival consistently, trying to keep busy with Kuzenbo in the early game, but now he's got a couple of protections with that Breastplate of Valor.
I'm a little bit worried about Divios on this Kuzenbo as the game gets later and later. You already talked about Deathwalker's ability to silence out the dash. Now you've got the cripple chains coming out from Kalas as he's making the rotation to this right side of the map. That's going to be an issue. Divios wants to sumo slam people, and he's got so many different speed bumps across the way.
He's still going to be able to use his Kappa, though, and that's like the main part of his kit.
Plus shell spikes, plus watery grave. You're right. I mean, it will be a pain for him to get repositioned or move someone else around with that sumo slam, but at the end of the day, he's still going to Kuzenbo you. He's still going to sit in front of you with that dumb look on his face, and you can't hit him, and there's nothing you can really do about it from that position.
Still talking about Kuzenbo?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still talking about Kuzenbo. He's going to do good work in this game still, I think. The only concern for me is Splyce's engage isn't great, but on the other side, Rival's going to be really leaning on Deathwalker to bait out a lot of abilities. Rival's going to kind of dangle Deathwalker out on a string, use his extra mobility, his dash, his ultimate to be sort of pseudo-engage, sort of counter-engage. They're looking to do a little bit of both.
No real surprise to see both the junglers really involved in the game already. This is the reason both these teams have made the final, because jungle in Season 5 and throughout the whole of Season 5 has been such a big, important position.
Yeah, I keep going back to the phrase jungler-driven league. I think you can have very different ways of playing jungle. I don't think you have to stay aggressive like we see Splyce getting here.
Oh my god, it lasted so quick. Aror pulled back in. No escape for you, my friend. Vote is now on a killing spree as Rival just 3v2.
I called Splyce getting aggressive, but I think I think Splyce just played it to Rival's hands.
I don't understand what Splyce thought was going to happen. I mean, you've got two gods that don't have CC immunity walking up against the Ares, who's level 12, by the way. Kalas is huge up until this point. He's doing way more damage than Splyce was ready for.
Gold Fury started up by Rival then, and there's only two members really around. Moswal under pressure, Aegis now down. Iceicebaby just throwing it away, but into the back goes CycloneSpin trying to force the reset.
He's gonna jump on out.
He's dead.
Is good. No, yes he is.
Whoa!
Gets a kill, and a big shot by Moswal takes Rival from 100 to about 10, and Divios puts Wlfy to 0.
Deathwalker's not done though. He really wants to kill a Moswal and picks it up. But on the back line, Divios gonna chase Callus away from the pit. Artio respawned, and now Deathwalker's alone.
This is a big kill for Splyce if they can pick it up. Divios has to chase him out. Tosses the Kappa, the ricochet like a pool player on crack. Divios gets the ricochet.
But Deathwalker's still too quick to catch him. Deathwalker's gonna keep juking around. Cyno gets the kill, but the Gold Fury is still alive.
Such a big, important kill for Splyce. CycloneSpin gives his life to interrupt the objective, and if that's it, well, if Rival gets another kill, it starts to go in Rival's favor, but Splyce bite back.
That pathing from Moswal was art. It was absolutely beautiful. His ability to not only survive the one-on-one up against iceicebaby, who is designed to murder him in that matchup, and then be able to combine with Divios. Divios watery graves, both carries, Vote and Wlfy, eat a long-distance Vulcan ult right to the mouth. That was absolutely beautiful, and Moswal's able to pull Deathwalker ultimately so far deep into his side of the jungle that he ends up dying.
I just can't tell you how happy I am to see CycloneSpin make that play.
Yeah.
One man jump into 4, give the life away. I ask for it a lot because the team is going to respond. Yes, you die as a player, but that's totally fine at this point in the game. It's about the bigger objective picture. Splyce play that as a unit. They bring in help. That is exactly how I want to see that go down.
To be fair, this is two teams that play very similarly in terms of they are a team. They are not individuals. There's no superstar. They're all superstars. They all play equally and trust in each other.
It's really fun, though, because I think Team Rival and Team Splyce maybe play the same brand of Smite, but they're very different teams.
Very much so. Splyce really wants to play around their duo lane a lot of the time. Cyno often ends up taking a leading man role, whereas Rival, to me, feels a lot more like Deathwalker and Wlfy focused than what Splyce has.
So that's about the adaptation we're going to see through the series more than likely. Remember, this is a best of 5 after all. Game 1 is normally a telling one for the most part in terms of, well, is anyone going to bring any strategies out straight away or run what we've seen from them both all tournament?
It's actually very interesting to see game number 1 bring as strange of a strategy that we saw. But I think it's important to say that it was in the game and not in the picks and bans. Game number 1 is a tone setter, as I've said a number of times this weekend. When it comes to a best of 5, the science of the series is very important. Game number 1 is going to tell you how the series is going to go, fast, slow, etc. But you still don't want to show your hand.
Oh, it's going fast right now. Callus blinks in. Look at Aror. Aror pulled in by the no escape. Damage is good as the Xbalanque ultimate just prevents anyone helping out. Cyclone going to airstrike away. Back to the safety of the mid lane. Divios and Cyno are in the pit though.
One by one, the ants march in. Moswal from a distance. Oh, not enough damage. And this is all Team Rival. Mid lane sitting down. Cyno and Aror down as well. And Divios will join them.
And Moswal and Cyclone still alive, but no ultimates available for either of them. The question is, do you look to contest it?
No, not without Vulcan ultimate. I think that Splyce needs to give up this Gold Fury, and indeed it does go down. Team Rival able to get the first objective.
Now the big difference here, why I don't want to see Splyce jump in there like crazy, is because there's no help. The help is dead this time. When you've got 5 players around, yeah, you jump in, you give yourself, because you know your teammates are going to come and add to the chaos. Not an option.
Oh, no. Really? They're going to go straight to the... Hello? They're going...
They're going.
They don't know what knows.
Artio knows. Artio knows.
Moswal
They
on the way as well.
They think it's Pyro! It's not Pyro!
God.
It was a fire giant! Rival! Sneaky strats come up when it's needed most!
I'm staring at the player cams right now on Splyce's side. Cyno looks like he just failed a math test. Aror is absolutely bewildered. They did not know
That's
that was
beautiful.
happening.
That's absolutely beautiful. And Rival just understands that what's the worst case scenario if Splyce does show up? They didn't get the Fire Giant, and Splyce won't be able to get it. They were all so healthy after that Gold Fury that they just go straight to the bigger objective. And the risk reward is very, very low on the risk end, but very, very high on the reward, because now it's only 18 minutes in, they're up 6K, and they're going to get a lot more off this Fire Giant.
You know, some of that does come down to Xbalanque getting those passive stacks early. The extra power is what they really needed to try and get it down as quick as possible.
That's a big deal. Vote on the Xbalanque, able to provide the damage. Also, he's building into crit. Crit's very good against objectives. And Crit's
Aror.
very good against Aurora as
He's
well.
not going to have a fun time at the moment. It's no escape after no escape. Would beads have helped him here in this game?
He could get them now. He just hit level 12, and he's going to make the choice. I don't know that you can easily win the game from that position. I think his best option, I actually love this.
Really?
Because, yeah, Ares is giving himself, he's an easy target. He's in that no escape. You hit him with the Sunder and then hope the rest of your team has enough DPS to kill him.
And go Cyno, though, looking to the back line at Wlfy. Round the back comes Deathwalker at the same time. Big word from Divios to zone them all away. But meanwhile, Moswal has been duoed underneath his own tier 2 tower. Divios can only live so long. He's doing all he can to stand. But he's another 2 members dead on Splyce. And Rival still on the warpath.
I don't love that call from Splyce to defend that tier 1. Defending the tier 2, I get, but at this point, you're so far behind, and that tier 1 was already weak. What's the point of standing there?
They actually just showed us why you don't defend tier 1 towers. The team wrapped around it and destroyed Moswal. Even if they don't kill him, he's out of the fight and he's unable to contribute.
Plus, that was a 5-on-4. I mean, Rival just had the numbers advantage. Aurora had just died. Look at the team by recap.
There's Phoenix right now as well. There's no one really here to defend.
Yeah.
The damage with the Fire Giant buff and the minions. Phoenix down at 20 minutes in game 1. Rival looking strong.
This is exactly what Rival want to do here. They want to just go ahead and execute very easily, very simply. Rival is a connect the dots type team. They want to plot their course and they want to hit each one.
What is it with Europe and picking out Ares and Ymir? They're the main 2. And always there seems to be an issue now and again with NA teams. Like Splyce here have got a comp where Ares really hurts.
I love it. I love the way that Rival just crafted these picks and bans, because look at what they did. They took Moswal's 2 most played gods this weekend away from him. Then they first picked the Raijin, which would have been good up against that Ares. Then they waited out a little bit. They know they're giving up Erlang Shen, but that's bad against Ares. You know Splyce is going to take Artio. They've been playing it all year, so they're going to take that. And then they have to get Moswal something there before the second ban phase, or else he's going to be 6 gods deep into the god pool. So he has to pick the Vulcan, another god that you know he plays, but another god that's bad against Ares. Rival had this planned out from minute 1.
CycloneSpin on the Jing, also one of the top pick carries of this tournament, the placement round. This is where everybody's going. Ares, this was Team Rival saying, Splyce, you can do what everybody's been doing. That's totally fine. We've found the answer. Now this one's easily in Team Rival's favor, and let's say they take the victory home, it's up to Splyce. If Splyce doesn't adjust and win game 2, I think we're going home early.
I think realistically though, Rival came into today, well last year they were in this spot against the United and very unluckily didn't make it and didn't win the tournament. They've got a point to prove.
I will say, I might have to check myself, Splyce have a decent defensive composition here. I love Kuzenbo and I love the Vulcan.
It's decent, but Aurora's 4 levels down to Kalas. Kalas is level 17 on Ares, and he's got a couple auras on him, so he's going to be doing a ton of damage. Check that, 18. He's now the highest level on Splyce if he were on that. I mean, there's only 2 members that are level 18 on Splyce.
And he's building into a gem of ISO. It's just going to get worse.
And he can afford to, because it gives him some health, some CCR,
and just that ability to stick on you, and he can, from this position, he can solo Aurora.
Look what iceicebaby did there. You ults over the wall thinking he can just get a pick ever so slightly. Doesn't find it. Instead, Rival will fall back to the Gold Fury. Splyce just looking for scraps in the jungle at the moment, realizing that maybe they can defend the next Fire Giant.
That's a tough call. That is definitely a tall order. They're going to be over 10,000 gold down at a very relevant time. I mean, your mid laner Moswal, it's got 3-ish items. You look across the way, and Wlfy with 10% cooldown from his blessing. Also, all of the other items. He's a full mage at this point.
No,
Mozzie just can't fight.
There's no way that Splyce can defend this Fire Giant. Their best chance is to make the initiation awkward for Kalas on this Phoenix defense. Maybe Deathwalker has to go in first, and then you can potentially isolate and kill him, but that seems a little bit far-fetched to me as well. Splyce is really hoping that Divios can keep Wlfy and Vote busy for so long that their backline can kill these tanky and high-damage frontliners.
Splyce needs to realize how Team Rival have been attacking them every single time. They split up 3 and 2. Iceice and Deathwalker are together to isolate the mage, and the other 3 occupy the entire team. So Splyce have to readjust. I want to see Moswal holding hands.
Divios taking a bit of poke already, and you can see the crit swinging through from Cyclone too. They both have Poison Star, the 2 hunters, which is something that does reduce a bit of damage in these fights. So looking for that consistently will help them out. But Rival, they're not after the fire right now. They're just trying to siege up at this tier 2.
I like this tier 2 defense better than the tier 1 in the earlier phases of the game. Still don't think Splyce can really fight it. I'd like to see them kind of shadow box it. Pretend to defend, make it awkward, make it difficult, but don't give up much for this one.
Keep an eye on Callus if anything does happen there, because in the grand scheme of things, he's the one that will be blinking in with a no escape. A couple of characters clearly do not have beads, as we mentioned. But instead, it's back to the Fire Giant we go. Middle Phoenix has respawned at the moment, but Divios is here.
He's gonna walk in, everybody turns around, looks at the turtle, 40%, he's in trouble. Ultimate comes out, and Callus puts him down nice and quietly.
Cyno was trying to run around the corner there and couldn't find the angle at the time, didn't feel too comfortable in that one, and now he's looking round again. Cyclone and Aurora approaching as Wlfy over-aggressed a little bit, and Wlfy's in a bit of trouble against Cyno, but at the same time, at the back of the fight, iceicebaby getting aggressive against Moswal, but Cyno is in a hell of a lot of trouble. Deathwalker will get the kill.
Jungle falls down, all of a sudden it's a 5-on-3 power play. Rival are looking at the FG again. Ryan, I didn't like Divios going in. When Divios was dead and they came in as 4, that almost looked better. But this 1-by-1 approach, not a fan.
Not gonna work. Aurora on the run. Just one more should do it, and Vote's gonna secure it.
Cyclone will get away in time, however, but the Fire Giant's still alive for now. It's kind of a 1-by-1 they go, huzzah, huzzah, right?
It's the conveyor belt, and that is never the way that you're gonna win a Fire Giant fight. You're right, Tom. Divios goes in, and he's used to being that level 20 get by this point. He's been playing these really tanky Guardians that can absorb all that front line. He's playing Kuzenbo. No way Crit X-Ball wants to be hitting me, right? Well, when you're only level 17 and Vote's nearly full build, then yeah, he can afford to hit you pretty easily.
The way the team came in after Divios died was actually rather impressive and might have been effective if there was 5 people. I gotta look at that siege and just say, you know, Splyce kind of messed that up, sending their solo laner up that far.
Middle Phoenix goes down then once again. It was already weakened and Splyce weren't really in a position to defend it. Straight away though, Rival over to the right-hand side, take down the tier 2, and they'll probably start to bring the minions down this way themselves. Looks like a buy situation as well, which is probably the right time to do this.
A lot of power items nearly done here for Rival. You see that Gem of Isolation or Ethereal Staff. It will end up being Gem for Kalas. Vote was very close to finishing off Deathbringer. He's got that hidden dagger, so I imagine he should be able to any moment now. Those are big items that were really, really close to being completed.
Full Bloodforge for iceicebaby, and again, I want to identify the fact that Deathwalker and Iceice are a miniature dive composition. What you have here for Team Rival is 2 separate comps, and they're executing them against the squad. DW and iceicebaby are just looking to dive on a Moswal every team fight, and this item, Bloodforge, is just going to help them do it. Masamune, again, hybrid item. Void Shield, again, a hybrid item. He's anticipating being turned on, and Splyce just haven't done that. Team Rival are one step ahead of Splyce. and Splyce haven't even responded.
But Splyce really hasn't had a full 5-on-5. The closest that we got was Divios getting insta-kill going in sort of alone.
That's by design. Team Rival is stopping them from finding that 5v5. Splyce have to figure out a way to stop them from being stopped.
There is a sign of life from Splyce though with these Vulcan ultimates. The problem is he's just not got the itemization yet to deal the relevant damage. It's hitting 3 or 4 targets.
That's exactly it. Splyce are setting up their mid laner that was down and behind. If Splyce can get this defensive stop and a secondary one after the fact, or just wipe Fire Giant off, we have a different game.
Deathwalker gonna tank up the Phoenix on the left-hand side. Ice-Ice-Baby keeping Cyno busy in mid.
Nice shot.
Aurora is there doing good work to Deathwalker, but Callus has got the no escape on.
There's the ultimate coming out for the mid lane mage. Moswal gets a vote, and just like that, Splyce are gonna surge forward. They're gonna look for more, but down goes Divios. Callus with the damage.
Great damage out from Rivals so far in this fight. Are they done yet though? Do they keep going?
I don't know. Losing vote, that's your main Phoenix damage. I think Rival's gonna have to back it up. And this is best case scenario for Splyce, all things considered. The best thing that Splyce could have done this game is have Moswal show that you can't afford to ban those 3, ban them out through that early game.
Oh, Cyclone just in time with the airstrike away, gets the blink out of Ice-Ice-Baby and trade. But now Rival are back again. The sustain from the Fire Giant is coming through here.
They're just gonna kind of wait their time, wait it out, twiddle their thumbs, and look for it. 4-on-4, not too big of a deal, but Divios will be respawning, so Team Rival gonna slink back into the jungle, go for the gold.
Now, Splyce has been behind all game long, but you're starting to see these Vulcan ultimates really making an impact. With both falling down already and the team in tatters, now it's Rival they've got to be a little bit careful of that because they've got hit a few too many times.
You know, the joke is that you've been writing the script, but real talk, you foreshadowed that fight perfectly. You asked us about Moswal and how, yeah, they've been setting him up. He's just kind of a little bit short. What was really different there was Splyce was able to chip down vote a little bit. So his kill threshold was lower. Moswal comes through, and with just a little bit more itemization, he gets the kill. I mentioned 1 or 2 stops. They got the stop, and now you're still looking at an itemization differential, but Moswal is at his execution point. He can do what he needs to do. He's gonna get stronger, but he's past this hard sort of line between not Vulcan and Vulcan. So I really like the fact that Splyce are in this spot because this gold differential is still relevant, but 20,000 it is not.
Here's the other thing. Vote should probably use the Aegis that he got. Vulcan ult is not a quick piece of damage. I mean, you have to be able to Aegis that. I know that the Darkest of Nights is happening, but that's Rival's Darkest of Nights.
However,
you have to be able to see it coming.
Divios going into the fight and using Warrior Grave all the time. You can't Aegis if you don't get the right window. It can cause a problem.
You can beads and Aegis. You have to use both, and that's a pain, but you can.
Deathwalker tanking up the Phoenix one more time, and in goes Aror trying to slow him down. Wlfy with the drums of war as the Vulcan ult to the backline hits and connects, but it's Divios that's going to fall down first of all to the no escape. Everybody on Rival getting low, but so is Cyno. Double kill for Wlfy. Cyclone's not done.
Cyclone's going to look for it. This is big boy damage. Aurora picks up 1, Wlfy falls down. If Rival goes too far, Cyclone can turn and burn. Damage coming from the right-hand side, though, as Ice-Ice-Baby gets his confidence back.
Cyclone's dead. He's going to fall down to Deathwalker, but Moswal got Vote. As soon as Vote dies, Rival go, no, 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 no. Run away, run away. We don't have our carry.
That time it was during the dash, so Vote couldn't use the Aegis. So Moswal has really been a thorn in both sides so far. I love Splyce playing aggressive from that point, though. They're down, and that is probably the best fight they're going to get from this sort of position with their backs against their own Phoenixes. Really, really good fight from Splyce, especially considering that Vulcan ult wasn't nearly as impactful as it was last time.
Again, Smite's a game of thresholds, right? When you talk about how far you're down, that's a little bit more ambiguous, but you get to a point where, can I fight, yes or no? Sometimes it's that black and white. For Aurora, I think it's gonna be all black as he's just surrounded and he's gonna go to bed.
But if he could just buy some time, he might be able to get away. He's a lot tankier than he was once upon a time. And Rival don't want to invest too much just in case reinforcements do arrive, which is what was about to be happening.
And there's a ton of crowd control reduction in Aurora's build so far, and once that becomes either a mantle or a spirit robe, if it's spirit robe, that's even more crowd control reduction, and you don't really want to hit him once you CC him because he has damage mitigation. If it's a mantle, then you can't really pile on him like we just saw. Aurora definitely getting him much, much tankier than earlier.
Really is one of those games, though, where Splyce is just holding on to the late game, getting these items online. Levels are almost equal now. 20 is the maximum level you can get in the game. So even Aurora and Divios, they're the only two without that extra experience. And the only separation is gold. But when your item builds are full, there's not much more to buy.
Exactly. That's why I was talking about X amount of defenses from Splyce. Want to neutralize this gold lead, and they've done it. They're not exactly even, but they are as close as they need to be. Now, all of a sudden, Splyce are in a position where they could defend this Fire Giant if they wanted to. The reason they don't is because that mid lane Phoenix is down.
Moswal's the key to defeating Splyce in this game now. With how he's been playing so far on this Vulcan, they've got to take out Moswal rival to win the game.
I agree, but I think CycloneSpin is a much bigger variable than both Splyce, Rival, and we are giving him credit for.
Cyclone's definitely got the damage. He's got a Deathbringer now. He's got the Poison Star, plenty of crit in the build. But I agree with Graham. I mean, Moswal has been the one just chunking away at these frontliners, whereas this crit build isn't quite as good at doing that.
My problem is that they're going to isolate Moswal, kill him, and then CycloneSpin's going to remind them that he exists and hit him with the hard punish.
Deathwalker going in there just to get a bit of aggro and see what's going on, see who's going to be the one to engage, and him and Aror have a bit of a boxing match. But now the minion wave comes into the Phoenix range. New minion wave spawn at the same time, keep an eye on Cyno on the left, who may blink over the wall. Divios grabs hold of Deathwalker, a bit of poke onto him, but he's sustaining him because he's Amaterasu and because he has the Fire Giant.
See, look at those crits. Obviously, it's a tanky character, only 200 damage or so, but that's relevant damage. He's going to be able to get it up because of the Fire Giant, but once all of this stuff comes at the same time, you're looking at a very different scenario. I am very afraid of Cyclone right now.
I love Cyno's positioning right here, keeping himself ready to defend mid, but also has that blink.
Here we go then, Rival looking for the right-hand Phoenix. Divios got to block as many shots as he can, and Rival don't like the situation too much. They fall back once more, wait again as Divios looks to try and get some health back.
I like the respect that they're giving to Splyce. They understand that Splyce have made a lot of victories off of games like this. How many times have we seen Splyce defend 3, 4, 5 times, turn it around and walk up the lane and take the Titan? Rival have to be careful.
Deathwalker going in again with the backside. iceicebaby blinks onto CycloneSpin. Roaring Grape used by Divios, but he's going to fall back too. Callus, though, he says no to that. And Divios comes back into the fray. This is a wild fight.
Everyone's still alive, and the Phoenix, 60%. Splyce, great defense. Blinking in comes Callus, grabs two with the chains. The Phoenix is in trouble.
And the Phoenix should fall down. Rival fall back immediately, and now they can head towards mid lane.
Yeah, and Moswal's ultimate just goes early, very early in that fight. I think you should be waiting until Wlfy gets up into the Taiko drums because you're either killing him from that position or you're forcing him to cancel his ultimate.
Dream scenario, though, is we see the HRX and the Raijin at the same time, right? And he gets both.
Yes, I think he was aiming for Kalas in that position, but Kalas is full build, even with these two mostly offensive items and Ethereal Staff and Gem of Isolation. He just doesn't have all 6 damage items. I don't know that he can really get those kills.
Team Rival approached that right side Phoenix almost flawlessly. The way that they dashed in and out, making sure to keep different important cooldowns on different timers, very important.
Here we go again then. Weaken Phoenix this time round in the mid lane. Cyno on the left-hand side. Quite a few relics on cooldown at this point, so it's even more awkward for both teams. Deathwalker goes with a dash but doesn't find a target. Instead, though, he's still tanking things up, and the Phoenix will eventually fall.
Splyce played that one really carefully.
I like that, though, because their ultimates are all coming back up for this left side Phoenix defense. No reason to put all your eggs in the mid Phoenix basket when it's already weak.
Right side's already down. The difference between 1 and 2 Phoenixes is not that big.
Aror's trying to do what he can, and to the back line, though. Vulcan on 2! Big burst damage! CycloneSpin turning up, but it's not enough to bring down Rival just yet. Only Cyno has fallen. The Phoenix still stands, the regen's still there, but Callus is a little low.
That's so scary. That was the dream from Mozzie, and it just doesn't do it.
Half a second too late off that taunt from Cyno. It's not a long taunt that Erlang Shen has, but it was an effective one.
Deathwalker's just tanking up for half a year at the moment, leaving the rest of the team to do what they want. Darkest of nice shoes, the CycloneSpin has to airstrike away. Where were you going, Timbuktu? Get back on the map, Cyclone! Phoenix, though, still under pressure. Vogue gets 1 kill, and with that, Wlfy gets another. Game 1 is going the way of Rival from the moment the game began.
A full deicide here as Team Rival just walk in. You know what, Splyce? I don't think we saw what we will see more from them in game number 1. This was Rival from minute 1, and Splyce have to adjust.
This was a feel-out set anyway coming into it to see what the two teams were going to do. Generally, you see a lot of the same stuff we've seen all season from these two, and there was nothing that surprised me. We've seen the HRX, we've seen the Kuzenbo, we've seen the Vulcan. All those things have been played before, but now Splyce like, okay, what do we bring out of the bank?
I'm really excited to see what Splyce come up with here in Game 2. This is the first time Splyce has had to adjust after a loss all weekend. They haven't had to worry about that at all. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with their backs up against the wall now.
This is the scariest, when Rival are having fun, except Wlfy, he doesn't have fun.
He doesn't have
Everyone else has fun. And when they're smiling, that is when they win. I've seen these guys at a number of LANs, and this is what they look like when they take it home.
Before we go to the desk, though, you two, are we seeing 5 games?
I think we still easily could. Splyce is a team that definitely has a lot in the bank. I love the way they adjusted against Dignitas, and they were able to preemptively expect what Dig was going to throw at them. Let's see what Kabam can come up with here for Game 2.
Well, let's get it back to the desk with Kelly, Taco, and Toli to break down Game 1 as these guys get themselves ready for Game 2.
Thank you so much, Hindu Man, Anatoly, and Taco joining me once again here at the Alienware Analyst Desk, everyone. It's HRX presented by Mixer, and we had an amazing game number 1. Definitely looking in the way of the gentlemen from Europe.
Yes, Rival doing a great job there. Their first loss out of Splyce, and I could definitely tell that Rival doing their homework, targeting out Moswal, putting him on the Vulcan. Those late game defenses were so difficult simply because of the Xbalanque ultimates.
I think it goes back even further than that, though. Just looking at the way that Rival chose to start this game, making sure that they had that awkward stack because they were anticipating that 3-man rotation into the dual lane so early on that instead they send everybody towards solo, and the fact that Vote is able to find the first blood, that is what's truly incredible, because it felt like from that point forward it was all just Rival prioritizing getting their hunter ahead.
This Ares pick was the MVP pick, I think, of this game. The first 3 picks were the Erlang, Shen, the Artio, and the Vulcan. 3 guys that don't have CC immunity, constant no escapes right onto Auror's Artio, pulling him in, separated these 2 supports by about 2 to 3 levels throughout.
You know, even at the start of that game there with Rival First Blood, Rival went back to go and attack Divios, try and pressure that lane, bully him. Divios, though, holding it really well and waiting for his team to come back and help him out.
It might have been a little bit too little too late situation, though, because it was a beautiful double kill setup that Divios was able to get going for Cyno, and at first it looked really promising, but then almost immediately afterwards there was yet again more pressure coming out of the dual lane. Vote and Kalish just had the entirety of Splyce locked down.
All that pressure from the beginning of the game out of Rival translates into the 20-minute middle Phoenix, rather, the 18-minute Rival Fire Giant. These objectives were all Europe's way.
That was insane, going from the Gold Fury and straight into the Fire Giant confidently, and Artio so close to seeing they're getting it.
To the right, if he'd gone even a little bit to the right, he would have seen it, but all he did was get close enough to the wall so he could pick up audio sounds from the Pyromancer. It wasn't enough for him to actually be able to tell that they were on the real Fire Giant itself.
High-res, high-reward play coming out of the black and purple squad pays off big.
So what does Splyce do? Because Splyce was 3-0 in the semifinals there. This is the first time they have to adjust.
Absolutely. It was a bait pick from Rival. They wanted all these picks between the Erlang, Shen, the Artio, and even the Vulcan, banning out the Opwash and the Zeus, wanting to really target out Moswal. And between Naja being open and Erlang Shen, you could tell Cyno wanted the Erlang Shen. Maybe he should go back to his more comfort pick.
But that's what makes this so exciting, though, because both of these teams, I mean, they came into this finals, like we already mentioned, with 3-0 victories. And because of that, this might be the first time that we see Splyce having to just take a heavier look towards the picks and bans specifically and look to remove some of these comfort selections that Rival got away with, like the Ares.
That taunt right there, that was the beginning of the end of Aror, honestly. There was just so many offensive plays that went unanswered. Callus's Ares was just lights out, going at 6-0-14 as a support. It almost felt as though he was playing a carry position.
That's insane.
Look at the damage, 15,000 damage.
But keep in mind, Kallus isn't the only one with an Ares in this series. Are we all forgetting about Aror here? I mean, all the way back to the Fat Chunks Assemble days, Aror is also a pretty impactful Ares, and I would not be surprised if we saw Splyce choosing to take it away from Rival.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be coming down to the comps here, and just how do you go up against Alpha in that sense, though?
It's about playing your own game, because if you're trying to focus out Rival, you're going to be in a bad spot. Rival actually was focusing out Splyce than anything, taking the Xbalanque away from CycloneSpin, which actually hurted out Moswal. During those late game sieges, you can tell how staggered those sieges were. Rival would go in for a little bit, bait out some cooldowns, separate perfectly to make it impossible for Moswal's ultimate to be effective, except that one time at 28 minutes where he had to do a blind Hail Mary ultimate, killing out Vote, I believe.
And the other thing, too, to keep in mind, though, is that I think Rival are definitely on the right track right now. I mean, all of their emphasis has been towards making Moswal uncomfortable, and it has worked out wonderfully for them in Game 1. But being able to maintain that, I think, could be a little bit complicated because it's only a matter of time before somebody else from Splyce steps up. And Moswal isn't everything to this team. I think it's even arguable to say that it's been mostly Divios and Cyno who have been the members truly stepping up in a lot of these sets.
Well, the thing is, if Divios is playing the Kuzenbo in the early game, he's not making any kind of plays up until later stages. So if Rival gets ahead early, it's difficult for Splyce to get back. It's on the shoulders of Moswal to kind of try to play defense, but that Xbalanque pick I'm still leaning on, it made it impossible.